Welcome to Any Sporting Question. I'm Graham Bell, and my guest today has had to fight off an invitation from a former football manager who's looking to boost his appearances in the media. Having offered him a spot on the show, he rejected it in order to show off his knowledge on gardeners' world, especially his raking ability. I'm delighted to say that my guest today has never been a rakist, but he's certainly fond of the odd hook. Daniel Cleary, how are we?
I'm good, thank you, Graham. How are you? These intros are getting a lot longer, I notice.
Well, these intros, one day we're just going to have an 8-minute introduction without actually any questions in it. It's going to be a great show that day. Anyway, it's back to the usual score sequences for you all. If this is your first time tuning in, this is how it goes. If you hear this sound, we have 1 point. If you hear this sound, we score 2 points. And if you hear this one, it sends me to sleep at night, this one. It means we've scored 3 points. However, if we do feel that we should lose a point for our terrible answers, then you'll hear this. And children will laugh at me in the street. Anyway, we've got to start with Arsenal's 2-1 victory in the FA Cup over Hull, which has been marred by accusations that the Arsenal captain, Cesc Fabregas, spat at the Tigers' assistant manager, Brian Horton. So, Dan, what's your take on this?
I think it's a tough one to call at the moment, until we see some evidence to suggest that Cesc definitely did it. I don't want to pass judgment, but if he did do it, it's disgraceful. Like, you couldn't get away with it in the street, and I don't think footballers are any different, so... I think if it does come out, then he should be severely punished. But it's just very strange. He's a very mellow player normally, but Hull aren't the sort of club to cry over nothing. So, difficult.
To me, he's just a stereotypical footballer who thinks he can get away with absolutely anything, and nothing will ever change that in my mind. The most disgraceful thing about this is what some of the fans are saying. Horton is a nobody. He's done nothing in the game. I'm sorry, but this guy is actually an absolute legend. I mean, the sight of him dancing on the pitch with David Pleat, having kept Luton up at Man City in the 80s, and then the battles he faced as manager at Port Vale and Macclesfield showed that in reality, this guy is a true legend, and really you should just be shutting your mouth, you two-bit, one-minute footballer, and just allowing him to get on with his job as an assistant.
I love it when you rant.
It's terrible, isn't it?
So we move on to Formula One.
Hang on, bear with me. 3 points for that answer. 3 points, cheers, Dan.
No worries, mate.
We just had to fit that one in.
Well, we'll move on to Formula One, and they've announced changes to this year's driving championship, and that the winner will be the person with the most races. Is this a forward starter for the Grand Prix?
What is it that Bernie Ecclestone has got against McLaren and Lewis Hamilton? I mean, if this had been in place last year, then Massa would have won the title. And this year, McLaren are claiming they're so far behind, their aerodynamics are all over the place. So the Supremo decides it's time to change so he can have it his way. It's a terrible, terrible idea. You can have a driver who excels for 6 races at the start of the season and crashes out every other race, and he would be the champion. I'm sorry, but it's got to be the guy who's the most consistent over the course of the season who should win the title.
The problem for me is it could be over. There could be 4 races to go, and a guy's won 5, and that's his distance clear. So it could be a lot of irrelevant sport. Other than that, I don't really care. I hate motor racing. I think it's so mundane. No wonder they're making changes, because it's a dull sport for me.
I just can't. I mean, the BBC must not be happy, because all of a sudden, after 6 races, no one could tune in. It could all be over. Anyway, let's move on to a more exciting. Hang on, I've got to give you points. I've forgotten to give you points again. Terrible stuff there. Just the 1 point for that answer.
No.
Friday sees the start of the one-day series between England and the West Indies. So, Dan, an ASQ favourite between us two. Who's going to come out on top?
Well, I think it'll be pretty tight again, Graham.
Sitting on the fence.
Wait for it, I'll make a call. I think a lot will depend on England's ability to bowl the Windies out, and we've got to stop Chris Gayle. I think we've got a chance if Peterson fires and Pryor carries on his strong form. But for some reason, I think it could be a sad end to a sad winter for England, who I think they'd just be keen to get home, regroup and prepare for the Ashes at home.
To me, it's the West Indies, and it's really painful to say it, but we are absolutely hopeless at the one-day game, as we proved in the 2020. We've got no tactics. We've got no idea of how to shape the side. And this West Indies side won the Under-19s World Cup less than 5 years ago, and now some of those players are beginning to make their way into the squad and boost the likes of Chanderpaul and Gale. And all we can bring in is blimming Amjad Khan, who at his best is a county trundler on a bowler-friendly pitch cam at Canterbury, and he's never going to take wickets in the West Indies. Never, ever, ever.
Poor old Amjad, especially coming from you.
I know. Well, the floaty off spinner who never takes any wickets on anything but a Turner is doing well here.
Once again, questions are being asked of the England skipper as Andrew Strauss may be forced to stand down from his captaincy role. It's an ASQ favourite, so who do you think should skipper the England side?
It's an absolute joke at the moment because Paul Collingwood has been mentioned as a possible replacement. And let's just say this, he was a terrible call last time. He's not going to be any of a better one this time. He hardly set the world alight. This team needs stability. We've got to be eyeing up these 2020 World Cup matches in June, and we've got to be eyeing the 7 games that are coming up against the Aussies. So why not freshen it up? I mean, we're always being told at the moment that Graham Ford is going to captain this side. So I suspect that when Ford takes over, Robert Key will be in charge of the England team.
Yeah, interesting shout. I quite like Key for a while, but I'm backing Andrew Strauss. If we're not going to get me in, there's been plenty of great captains out of university, none better than me. But yeah, I'd quite like to see us just back Andrew Strauss. We can't keep chopping and changing. I think he's a fast learner, and he's batting well with the responsibility of captaincy, which counts for a heck of a lot. I'll take back Straussy.
I'm not giving you the 3 points for your Straussy there. I'm giving you 3 points for yourself. I mean, I'll get a game in the England team then. Delightful. Anyway, it's been announced that over 2 million people are now unemployed. And in completely unrelated news, The Apprentice is back on our screens. I cannot wait.
It's a great show.
And in a kind, friendly way that is ASQ, Sir Alan has given us the power to veto one sports person's career. So, Dan, who are you going to fire? But also, we're kind. It's a recession world. What job will you give him at a job centre?
Well, as you know, I always love the joke question. And, well, I could fire so many, but I'm going to go for Ian Botham from Punditary, because he's so critically outspoken. I wonder if we're ever watching the same game.
Yeah.
And another for me is all darts players.
Ooh.
Because it's not a sport.
Ooh, stinging.
So
stinging.
They're all going. As for the job centre, don't need it. There's loads of jobs going at Mackie D's, at Burger King. They could all go down there. Beefy could get a job there. They'd be fine. They'd be absolutely fine.
Oh, beautiful. 3 points there. 3 points. Congratulations. For me, I mean, Cesc Fabregas could be fired at the moment. He'd become the new Spit the Dog on Tiswells. It'd be fantastic. I want personally to sack Monty Panesar from his spot in the England team. He's proved he's not good enough, but he still gets a spot in this team. But I think he would be perfect to work in a factory. Why? Because he's the most repetitive man in the world. You could always know he's going to produce a good enough thing, and it'd never be any misshape. It would just always be in the same sort of mould all the time. He'd be brilliant in it. Absolutely brilliant.
This Monty and Amjad Khan there. Struck off. The Six Nations is all over this weekend, with Ireland on for a possible Grand Slam, but they could still technically lose the Six Nations to Wales. So who do you see picking up the Six Nations title?
It's funny, really. We both sat here at the start of the season and said Ireland, and delightfully we've both been proved right. So congratulations on that. I mean, I'm not going to change that. I think Ireland will win the Six Nations, but they will not win the Grand Slam. I feel Wales will beat them now at the Millennium Stadium, and they'll be absolutely forced to rue their performances against France and also Italy, only winning by 5 points in Italy. That's a shocker for this Welsh team, and they are going to be suffering some serious, serious problems.
Well, I'm backing the Irish, and I'm backing them to go all the way and win the Grand Slam, especially with a surname like Cleary. We say we backed them at the start. We thought the fixture list was pretty friendly to them, and I think momentum counts for a lot in sport. But Welsh, despite the changes, put in a pretty average performance against the Italians. I think the momentum could count for a lot, and I think Ireland might just power home with the likes of O'Driscoll and O'Gar and that. Yeah, I'll continue.
Yeah, oh no, exactly. It's going to be a great weekend. Anyway, who cares? Last weekend was the big score with France beating England beating France comfortably. Brilliant. Anyway, that's the end of another show, my friends. And for those of you who are keeping score at home, you would know already who the winner is of today. But I'll play my music just in case. Oh yes, 14-13, big victory there. A great show, but I'm just better than you every time at the moment.
Oh, scandalous.
Comfortably better than you. Comfortably better than you today. What was those answers all about? Anyway, that's it for another ASQ. Join me in the studio again on Monday, where I'll be joined by Jake Atkinson. Yep, the small one of sport. And unfortunately, his part just keeps getting larger and larger. Until next time, take care of yourself. Goodbye.